Jim Costa just asked Marco Rubio the question no one in Trump's circle wants to answer. Why is Trump willing to crush Iran with maximum pressure, but not Russia? That single challenge exposes a double standard at the very core of U.S. foreign policy. And once you see the implications, you'll realize this moment is about much more than just sanctions. It's about America's credibility on the world stage.
Later on, Mr. Secretary, America has been the beacon of light for democracy, post-World War II, certainly. And almost every president has been used as a voice of a defender of democratic principles. Do you agree that China and Russia are our adversaries today, along with Iran, I might add?
I think both, well, there's no doubt in the case of China seeks to replace us on the world stage as the world's most powerful country. In the case of Russia, they clearly do not support a world order in which the United States plays the role it's currently played, so they're an adversary in that front. In the case of Iran, they're a threat to regional peace. I wouldn't say they're a global threat, but they're an increasing threat.
No, I understand. And I would even go further. I consider today modern-day Russia a syndicate masquerading as a country with a mob boss called Putin. And so in these negotiations, I want to do a comparative analogy. The president has indicated that with Iran, as we've noted, that maximum pressure are the tactics that will be used to engage Iran to ensure that they do not obtain nuclear capability. Is that correct?
Maximum pressure on Iran?
Right.
As compelling them to not seek a nuclear weapon?
Right.
Correct. Or the alternative is worse?
Yes. In the negotiations that the president is trying to seek a ceasefire and a peace between Ukraine and Russia, I would like to ask you why the president has not considered using maximum pressure on Russia to ensure, which we have the ability to do so. Sanctions are being considered, as you know, over in the Senate, additional sanctions, to pressure Russia into a ceasefire mode and to a peace agreement, realizing that they've broken the last 3 agreements they've had with Ukraine in the last 20 years.
Well, I think the president has made clear that he understands clearly he has options with increased sanctions on Russia if necessary. He would prefer that they agree to a peace deal. And so it's a process of trying to encourage them to reach peace. If ultimately that doesn't work, the president has publicly stated he's very well aware of the sanctions options, devastating sanctions options that he has.
And I just want to make sure that we're clear about this, because we have leverage on Russia. And it's not clear to me that we're using it in the same sense that we're using it with Iran. And I think, frankly, we and our allies must be together in defending democracy. And certainly Ukraine is a democratic and intending to become more democratic, wants to join with the West, with the European Union, as well as ultimately with NATO. And I think Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states are watching very carefully to America's commitment to Ukraine. Let me go on quickly here. The effort was raised, and you commented on Armenia and Azerbaijan, another country Azerbaijan, that has not kept its commitments in the Minsk Accord. We've tried to get Republican and Democratic administrations to forego the waiver on Section 907 on military aid to Azerbaijan. Finally, last year, the Biden administration rightfully refused to issue the waiver. I think it should be permanent. What is your position, and will you commit to not resisting Section 907 waiver again this year that would block military aid to Azerbaijan?
Well, we haven't made a determination on that yet, because what we're focused on right now is getting them to agree to a peace agreement that does not cause them to invade a neighboring country in Armenia. We would like to prevent that from happening. The president's very committed to preventing wars, and we've tried to outline to both sides, especially the Azerbaijani side, the tremendous benefits that would come from signing a peace deal and not engaging in a war that we would find to be destructive, counterproductive, and the last thing we need right now in the region.
And Armenia is looking for our help and our support.
Representative Kaine is recognized.
What you just saw was Representative Jim Costa pressing Secretary Marco Rubio with a very pointed question. Why has the Trump administration chosen to apply maximum pressure against Iran, but not against Russia? On the surface, it may sound like a simple question about sanctions, but in reality, this gets to the heart of U.S. credibility in foreign policy. Let's unpack this. The maximum pressure strategy is a well-known Trump-era policy toward Iran, designed to choke off its economy, isolate it diplomatically, and ultimately prevent it from developing nuclear weapons. Harsh sanctions, targeted restrictions, and international pressure all made up that approach. Costa's point is straightforward. If the U.S. is willing to go that far with Iran, why is Russia, a country actively waging war in Ukraine, undermining NATO, interfering in Western democracies, and violating multiple peace agreements, being treated differently? This isn't just about sanctions, it's about consistency. Foreign policy is as much about perception as it is about policy. When the U.S. comes down hard on one adversary but goes soft on another, allies and enemies alike take note. That inconsistency raises uncomfortable questions. Is America sending mixed signals? Are certain countries being given a pass for political reasons? And if so, what does that mean for U.S. credibility as the supposed defender of democracy worldwide? Costa sharpens this point by comparing Russia to a syndicate masquerading as a country with a mob boss called Putin. That's not just colorful language. It's a reflection of how Russia under Putin operates. This is not a conventional adversary bound by treaties or norms. It's a regime that thrives on destabilization, corruption, and brute power. And yet, the Trump administration appeared reluctant to unleash the full weight of U.S. sanctions on Moscow. Why? That's the deeper tension Costa is forcing Rubio to address. Rubio's response is telling. He acknowledges that harsher sanctions are on the table, that the president has devastating options if necessary, but he frames it as a matter of diplomacy first, pressure later. The problem, as Costa points out, is that Russia has broken peace agreements before, multiple times. So the question remains, how many times can Moscow be trusted before stronger measures become unavoidable? This exchange also speaks to a bigger theme in international politics, the use of leverage. America has immense economic and diplomatic tools at its disposal, but leverage only matters if it's actually used. Iran felt the squeeze because maximum pressure was applied. Russia, however, still profits from energy exports, still wields influence in Europe, and still pushes the boundaries in Ukraine. The longer the U.S. hesitates to bring down maximum pressure, the more Moscow interprets that as weakness or hesitation. And let's be honest, Ukraine isn't just a regional issue. It's a frontline test of democracy itself. Countries like Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states are watching closely. If America appears hesitant in defending Ukraine, how secure can those allies feel about U.S. commitments to NATO and collective defense? Costa is reminding Rubio, and by extension all of us, that credibility isn't built with words, it's built with action. So here's the real takeaway. This isn't just about Russia or Iran in isolation. It's about whether America applies its principles consistently, whether democracy is defended universally, and whether adversaries know there are consequences for aggression. The maximum pressure question is a proxy for something much bigger. Do the U.S. and its allies have the will to confront authoritarian powers with the same urgency, no matter who they are? And that's where you come in. These moments in hearings aren't just political theater. They're windows into the values and strategies shaping America's role in the world. If you think these double standards matter, if you think the U.S. needs to stand firm in defending democracy everywhere, make your voice heard. Share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and let's push for the kind of accountability that leaders can't ignore. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss more critical breakdowns like this one, because these debates are only going to get sharper and the stakes even higher.